because I mean this from the bottom of my heart. As a diehard fan, I share my condolences to the other diehard fans. It's never easy when a season ends. The Knicks season ended yesterday. I think most of us are still surprised that it ended yesterday. I also want to make something very, very clear to you, Tiki Barber, because this is still our first year together. When a team loses and has their season end, I believe there is a grace period before I mock, before I troll. I've always been open and honest about my dislike for the New York Knicks and some of their fans. Today is not that day, okay, out of respect. I mean that. I'm not joking. Will there be a day this week in which I mock you? Of course, but it's not today. So what I'm about to tell you is not mocking. It is not trolling. It is me being honest. Because the one thing I've tried to do since the moment I walked into this door many years ago is, yeah, I'm a fan of certain teams. And when I talk about the other teams in town, I try to put myself in your shoes. Okay? I try to act like this is how I would feel if this is my team. What I do not understand from a lot of Knicks fans today is how you're okay. I don't understand that. I don't understand the thank yous. I don't understand the tears. I don't understand the chants. I don't understand the standing ovations that were given out yesterday. And maybe that says more about me, that I am broken as a sports fan. But when my team loses, it doesn't matter how. It doesn't matter why. When they lose and the season ends, I do not sit there and act like, well, we accomplished a lot, and that was a lot of fun. I don't understand that. And I'm not saying it to troll you. I'm not saying it to be a bad guy. I'm saying it because I'm genuine as a sports fan. Because here are the facts. The facts are the New York Knicks got eliminated in the second round of the postseason. The same place they got eliminated 1 year ago. Facts. The facts are they had a lead in Game 3 with a 2-0 series lead, and they blew it. Facts. The facts are they got blown out in a Game 7 at home. Facts. And here are the other facts. Yes, the Knicks were ravaged by injuries. I don't deny that. If the Knicks were healthy, do they win this series? Probably. And let me say this from experience. That doesn't make me feel better. It never did, and it never will. So what I don't understand about my fellow New Yorkers is what happened to you. Why are we celebrating? Why are we happy? Why are we smiling? Why are we saying thank you? Do I have to be the voice of reason? I'd be pissed. No. I'd be angry, and I'd be devastated that my season ended.
So let me try to put it into perspective for you. I think the Knicks fan is rationalizing. I think the Knicks fan is re-looking at what the expectation should have been. And I'm not talking about pre-playoffs or before the Julius Randle injury. I'm talking about, given all of the things that have gone wrong with this team, how strongly they played and how they got to a Game 7 in round 2. And ultimately, they got to a buzzsaw. The Pacers were a buzzsaw in Game 7. I mean, they started 22 of 25, whatever that percentage is. It's a lot. They finished with 67% shooting from the field. And for the first half, it was like 76 or whatever it was. They just could not be stopped. I think the injuries make you realize that this hope was hopeless. And so you're rationalizing that hope into that hopelessness, and you're actually feeling grateful for where you got. Now, should they be a little bit upset because they had the series in a sense? Of course. But they also look at this team and say, all right, we got Jalen Brunson coming back. Hopefully we re-sign OG. Dante DiVincenzo was a star. Yeah, Alec Burks, who's probably going to be a bench guy, but he can come off and fill it up when he needs to. Next year, Julius Randle will be that guy. Hopefully we re-sign Isaiah Hartenstein, right? You look at the team. Deuce is still here. You look at the team and say, next year, given health, we have a great chance of being right back here. And so I think the thank yous and the feel good comes from looking at the floor. You're not looking at the ceiling. You're looking at the floor.
Tiggy.
And right now, the Knicks floor feels higher than it's ever felt.
Tiggy, there's a lot of what you said I don't disagree with. I guess for me, when my team's season ends in a 7th game in my own building in a series where I led 2-0, in a series where I led 3-2, I cannot, and what you just did, by the way, very healthy.
I'm just telling you.
I can't mentally get to that place that quickly.
It's a rationalization, especially, and it's funny because watching this Game 7, it started happening in the first quarter. You started saying, yeah, they just don't got it. That's a good year.
I don't understand that, though, Tiki. That's the thing. I don't get that.
Yeah,
and listen, I'm open-minded, Knicks fans. If you want to call up today and say, you're the problem, Evan, you're just broken, and you have this weird view of sports that's not healthy, fine. Maybe it's me.
Right.
But I don't understand being happy today.
But I also think it's denial. Like, it's part denial. You're just denying that we really had a shot. And so you're denying that point and saying, okay, but the future is going to be great.
The future's fine, by the way. I am not raining on the Knicks' future.
And so you're denying what just happened, right? You're dismissing it. You're pushing it off as fast as you can,
right?
Because it's not healthy to dwell on, like, the hypothetical.
Well, that's it. See, you just hit on this. Again, this is me speaking. And I've lived it. You know I've lived it. I don't like what-ifs. What-ifs are the worst part of sports. They're the worst, bro. I'd rather lose. The New York Knicks and your fans and Knicks fans have the most gigantic what-if known to man. What if OG didn't get hurt? Do we win this series? Maybe you do. Maybe you do. What if Jalen didn't fracture his hand down 12 late third quarter? Do you come back because Jalen gives you this incredible fourth quarter performance? Maybe you do. It's all what ifs. What if Julius Randle never got hurt? What if Bojan Bogdanović didn't get hurt? What if? I effing hate what ifs.
Yeah, but
I'd rather lose, not have the what if game.
Okay.
And if I'm a Knicks fan, what I have is the most gigantic what if hanging over me.
Yes.
And so to sit here on we're not even 24 hours removed from the game, and we're giving platitudes.
Well,
thank you. This is fun. I had a blast. What happened to us?
Evan, if it was one what if it was one thing, what if Jalen Brunson just hadn't broken his hand? Everything else is fine. You'd be like, damn, Jalen, God, that's almost, like, you'd almost start to blame him for getting hurt. But the problem is, you just rallied, you just rolled off like 6 of them.
Okay.
There's 6 what ifs.
Does that make it easier?
No, but when there's 6 what ifs, which means there's 6 things that went wrong, it's almost the opposite of fate, right? It actually is still fate, but in a negative way. It just, how could you overcome all of those what ifs?
You know how they'll take? In Game 3, and have I not said this before about Game 3s with a 2-0 lead? You better not take your foot off the gas. I know it from experience. Ranger fans know it from experience. We all know it from experience.
Of course.
They had a 9-point lead in the fourth quarter of Game 3. They had a Game 7 at Madison Square Garden. Now, Knicks fans, if you're just tuning in, Evan's a hater. I'm not being a hater. I get why you lost. That loss, though, would kill me as a fan. I would not be mentally healthy enough within 24 hours to call up a radio station or talk into a microphone or go outside on the streets of New York City and cheer and give ovations. Like, I can't do that. I'll never forget. I had a buddy of mine, lifelong friend. He's from San Diego, California. And our running joke would be, you'll appreciate this, Yankee fans, I would always mock him. You losers gave the Padres a standing ovation when you lost Game 4 of the 98 World Series. What a bunch of losers. We would never do that in New York City. And he tried to explain it. Well, it was an amazing story. We got to the World Series, second time in franchise history. And I'm like, dude, you cheered after you lost. And so last night or yesterday afternoon at Madison.
For the season.
Okay, I can't get there. I'm just telling you, I've never done it. And trust me, you want to find examples in my fandom? I've never walked away from a season thinking, gee golly, that was a fun run. You know when I get there? I get there weeks later. I'll admit that. I may get there a month later.
Or maybe the Knicks fan is just a more advanced fan than you Net fans.
Is that what we're saying? It's not Nets. It's Jets. It's all of it.
Okay, well, Jets and Nets, they can lump them together.
Yeah, they're all a bunch of losers.
But my point is, I think the Knicks fan is so optimistic about this team going forward.
Yeah.
And so this is part denial. It's denying everything that you're saying. It is just washing it as fast as possible and saying our future is going to be great.
Yeah, let me tell you something about futures. Can I tell you something about futures? And don't worry, I won't use the Nets since no one cares. I'll use the Mets. In 2006, their entire rotation, or at least a part of it, was riddled by injuries. El Duque pulled a freaking quad before the postseason started. Pedro Martinez never pitched. They lost a Game 7 at home, and look at the future. look at the roster. And I learned a lesson back then. You don't know the future.
Right.
You can be as optimistic as you want. You never know if you're going to get back. Same with 2015. Same with 2009 and 2010 with the Jets. Same with 2020 and 2021 with the New York Islanders. You don't know. So I get what you're saying about the future, and we'll get into the Knick future. We'll break down exactly what I think they should do, and you think they should do, and all of us think they should do as this show rolls on. But what has really taken me aback is how New Yorkers in general and Knick fans in general have accepted this losing.
Yeah, I don't think it's accepting this losing. I think it's understanding the losing. Accepting and understanding are two very different things. There's nothing that the Knicks that were healthy could have done to stem the tide that Pascal Siakam and Tyrese Halliburton were throwing down, or even McConnell. Like, all these guys, they couldn't miss. They literally couldn't miss for stretches of this game.
And I give Rick Carlisle.
They fought. And by the way, they fought. The Knicks fought. This thing was running. They were getting run away from, and they got it back down to 7.
They got it to 7 mid-third quarter. And look, I give Rick Carlisle a lot of credit. His strategy was run. Knicks make a shot, run.
Yes.
Run them rampant.
Yes.
And they did it. How many times last night or yesterday afternoon at Madison Square Garden did the Knicks make a basket, whether it was a big three or a big layup, in which you're like clapping and excited, and within 5 seconds, Indiana answered.
Yes.
Because they ran right back up the court. They used their speed. They used their dynamic offensive abilities that they've had all season long, and they ran the Knicks rampant. I get it. I get why they won.
Yep.
I just don't know how we could accept it so easily.
Well, I think you look at the realities. The team that was on the court at the end of the game, when it mattered, fourth quarter, et cetera, after Jalen Brunson breaks his hand, not one of those guys started this season.
I understand.
Not one. And so in your mind, you're rationalizing. Yes, you're denying, but you're rationalizing. How the hell could we expect to win when not one of our starters from game one of 2024 season, or 3-4 season, is healthy?
No, I get that, but here's the problem. All of that is true. I'm not denying what injuries did to this Knicks team. We all know that. Josh Hart played. Josh Hart wasn't Josh Hart. We all know that.
No business being out there.
OG Anunoby tried to pull a Willis Reed. He sort of did it with those first 2 crazy shots, but he couldn't move on defense. We all get it. Jalen Brunson fractured his hand. I get all of that. But the New York Knicks went exactly as far as they went last year.
I know.
And for the second straight year, they lost in the second round as a favorite. So you can mix in all of the things that contributed to the loss. Again, I'm not arguing with you.
Yeah.
But the reality is the scrappy little underdog, like people like to portray them as, was a 2 seed and lost in the same round they lost a year earlier.
Yeah,
and I said something to you at the beginning of the year about the Giants and about the Knicks. And I'll say it about any team I root for if they were actually good enough to be a playoff team the previous year. It is impossible to me to get to the exact same spot and consider that a success.
Yeah.
You have to go further.
I hear what you're saying.
And then they go further.
And then you throw the statistics in there, the seeding in there. They were the 2 seed by 2 games.
Okay.
They could have easily been the 5th seed. I mean, that's how tight it was in the East. And yeah, give them credit for fighting, getting the 2 seed, setting up, in theory, the favorable matchup in the first round, and then ultimately in the second round against the Indiana Pacers that it turned out not to be. But I think there's a rationalization that's going on here that makes you dismiss what just happened and instead reset to what's going to happen a year from now. That's why the Knicks fan is appreciative of this journey, even though it ended, I think, prematurely. But again, you can't fight circumstance. You can't fight all the plethora of injuries.
That's what makes it worse.
I know it doesn't, because I think it gives you the excuse. The last thing that's, I think the hardest thing to accept, the last thing you want to accept is saying that team is better than me. The Indiana Pacers are better than me. Because I think the Knicks fan is saying they're not. We just weren't fully healthy.
Yeah.
We weren't fully baked to be able to compete against them. They were. I know Tyrese had the hamstring, but he didn't look it. He didn't show it. So it's you're rationalizing, you're denying, but you're also being grateful for what's about to come.
Okay. I don't subscribe to the thought that because we get to make excuses, whether it's to our friends or it's via text message or it's on sports talk radio, that doesn't make me feel better.
Yes,
and
but
you
it
know,
does. But some people it does.
Okay, I don't understand that. Like, if anything, it makes it worse. And I said this to you before they lost Game 7. I said this to you 4 days ago, and I said it based on the life experiences of a basketball team that lost a Game 7 at home that had every injury excuse in the world. I couldn't sleep that night. I couldn't sleep for a week. And it's not because I knew the future was bleak. I didn't know what the future was. But I had the question of what if? And what ifs are the worst.
Yes, but the problem is
I would rather lose to a team that just beat me than have to say, well, what if this guy was healthy?
But when there are like 10 what ifs, it gets hard to like say we're going to be successful anyways. Well, what if this guy didn't happen? This didn't get hurt. This didn't occur. Julius Randle, blah, blah, blah. What if? Eventually you run out of what ifs because there's just not enough guys. And you start saying, how the hell are we even winning? How are we even here? And so you're thankful just to be there because of all those what ifs. I think that's my belief on what the Knicks fan is thinking right now.
Well, I've got good news, Knicks fans. I believe that the enemy of your enemy is your friend. And I believe today many Knicks fans agree with me. I think you guys have been silenced by the thank yous. You've been silenced by the this was greats. You've been silenced by the cheering after the game. You've been silenced. But I know the inner New Yorker. I am you. I know how you feel. And I know that you're pissed today, as you should. The season ended prematurely. Let's talk about it next, 877-337-6666, plus the moments in Game 7 where you knew the outcome. We'll get to it coming up live from the Town Fair Tire Studios, powered by Town Fair Tire. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody.